International students or foreign students are students who choose to undertake all or part of their education in a country other than their own and move to that country for the purpose of studying. So by definition, I am an international student. Hi guys, my name is Euneece, and welcome to today's episode of me oversharing my personal life in order to gain views and popularity. I am technically an international student, but I'm not enrolled as one in my university. Now, before you click out of this video because of clickbait, just hear me out. Sit back, relax, take your hand off that mouse, and listen to me. Just listen to me. To prevent this video from being a complete and total mess, I've decided to separate the different topics and aspects that deal with my overall experience as a quote-unquote international student. So let's start off with the first topic, my background. On March 17 of 2001, I was born in Tagum City, Davao, Philippines. I spent my early childhood years there, so I was able to learn some basic Bisaya, which is a Filipino dialect for those of you who don't know. But when I was 6 years old, on July 31st of 2007, my family and I immigrated to Texas, US of A. Yeehaw! To make the long story short, I spent the rest of my growing years in Texas. I attended elementary school, middle school, and high school in the States. When I was a junior or in grade 11 of high school, just like most students, I started wondering and overthinking about which college I wanted to go to and what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I only did find an answer for one of those questions, but it's okay. We'll figure that out later. My mom would always bring up going back to the Philippines for college, and when I was still really young, or when I was younger, I was completely against the idea. I mean, I had all my friends in the States and my life here was already established. I was comfortable, I was familiar with everything. Why would I want to leave this comfortable and familiar life behind? Why would I just want to leave everything I knew behind? But the more I thought about it, I didn't want my life to just stay at the same level of comfort for the rest of my life. I didn't want everything to just be the same. At that point, I feel like I had already gotten too comfortable with everything and that everything around me was just too familiar. So, as time went by between my junior year and senior year of high school, the idea of me moving back was looking a lot more desirable than staying. Also, I really didn't want to drown in student debt and paying unreasonable amounts of money for tuition, books, and housing, and probably more. And also, me going to the college in the Philippines meant that I didn't have to take the SAT or the ACT, which are standardized exams that are used for college admissions here in the States. 1010 would not recommend. After so many second thoughts, second guessing, overthinking, it was finally decided. In February of 2019, I skipped 2 weeks worth of school just to go back to the Philippines and take my entrance exam for the Ateneo de Davao University. And spoiler alert, I passed. There's something in my eye. Fast forward to June of 2019, I finally graduated high school after 4 very long years. And after graduation, there's summer. It's where you get to spend time with your hometown friends and family before you head off to college far, far away. And even if you didn't move away for college, you still had that time off to spend time with your family and friends before you advance to the next level of your academic career / life. Yeah, no, I didn't get that at all. Summer, I barely know her. I graduated on June 1st, had my see you soon party on the 3rd, flew to the Philippines on the 4th, got there on the 7th, officially enrolled as a student on the 8th, and began my classes on the 13th. I guess I really didn't have a summer that year, or this year, but that's a different story. My mom and little brother came with me during that time. My dad stayed back in Texas due to his work schedule. But after 4 weeks, my mom had to go back to the States, and then that's when my dad came in to the Philippines. Then, 3 weeks after that, my dad and brother had to go back to the States because, they had their own life there, and I was starting my new one in Davao. This meant that I was in Davao all by myself and I could do whatever I wanted to. But I didn't because I just wanted to stay inside my dorm and not do anything. let's move on to the second topic, or the second aspect of my experience as an international student in the Philippines. So the second topic is the academic aspect of it all. Yeah, I could say that I was worried about my grades and about my classes. I mean, I didn't travel halfway across the world and like leave everything I knew behind just to fail, you know? And though some classes did prove to be difficult, that wasn't my biggest problem or like my main concern. Just like nearly every other college student, my biggest problem would have had to be, or it probably still is, time management. I still, like, just mentioning it gave me the chills. Like, I think I need to put on a jacket or something. Hang on. Okay, that's better. Anyways, back to the topic. I mean, I didn't completely slack off in high school, but I did have a notorious habit for procrastinating. And sad to say, that habit followed me into college. With my parents being nearly 10,000 miles away and me having what seemed to be infinite amount of freedom, let's just say that my time management skills were completely and utterly terrible. Garbage, trash, get that out of here, get it out. Yeah, it's bad. It was bad. It still is, but like, it was worse. It was worse. Long story short, I had to get it together. I learned that through the very, very hard way. I really went through it, man. I swear. But enough of that. I feel like I'll go into that in a different video, but yeah, that's all for now. I want to quickly talk about the difference of the academic curriculum between the one in America and the one in the Philippines. This is my opinion. This isn't completely factual. Other international students may disagree and say other things. That's completely fine. This is just me sharing my own personal experience with the two different curriculums. Other opinions may vary. So like I said, I attended elementary, middle, and high school in America. Elementary school is 1st through 5th grade, middle school is 6th through 8th grade, and high school is 9th through 12th grade. The Philippines has just recently adopted the K-12 system. So before this system was adopted, it meant that when you were 16, you were probably already in college. Imagine being 16 and in college. If I'm a mess now in college at the age of 19, imagine how much worse and chaotic I would have been if I went to college at 16. Yeah, no. In the Philippines, there technically isn't a middle school. There's elementary school, which is from 1st through 6th grade, junior high school, which is from 7th through 10th grade, and you have senior high school, which is from 11th through 12th grade. Now, I'm not gonna get into the details of it. I feel like this would make, or that would make, for a very boring and sleepy video. Because like, that's just a boring topic to talk about, oh my god. For me, personally, I feel like that the American curriculum, or at least the one I experienced, was just a lot more free. It had a lot more freedom compared to the one in the Philippines. The elective classes at my old high school were very diverse, to say the least. I mean, you had your basic sports like football, basketball, soccer, all that jazz. But what I really liked and admired about my old high school was that they really put a lot of attention to the fine arts and like really added a lot of classes that were very inclusive. Classes such as ceramics, sculpting, drawing, band, choir, orchestra, dance, theater. There were just so many diverse classes, and I think there were more than that. Like I mentioned, there's so much more. I mean, during my junior year of high school, I took a class called Equine Science, which is basically horse science. Yeah, I spent a whole semester learning about horses. But that is, again, another story for another time. When you're a new first year at ADU or at my university, you don't get to pick your schedule. You don't get to pick your classes. They automatically pick it and schedule it for you. I had a math class at 7 in the morning. I can barely do math at a normal time of the day, much less 7 a.m. I also had PE. Yes, PE. There's PE when you're in college in the Philippines. And I also had that class at 7 in the morning, which isn't as bad as math, but it's still very early. And I lived 4 minutes away from school. Imagine my friends who had to commute 2 hours, and their first class was at 7 a.m. Insane. Ooh, also, there are these things called oral recitations. Now, this isn't a common thing in America, or at least at my high school, we didn't do this. It wasn't really common, like no teacher did this. If you don't know, oral recitations are basically you answer a question or you die. How to explain? It's basically where a teacher calls on you to answer a question based on the given reading material, their lectures, or whatever they ask, honestly. And you had to answer it in front of the class. And it was for a grade. If you didn't have an answer, or you did have an answer but it was terrible, or you weren't able to articulate your idea properly, good luck, Charlie. Overall, my classes were fine. I wasn't new to failure. When I got an F in one of my classes for one of the grading periods, I wasn't really that shaken up about it. I just kept working and working, like I didn't give up, and eventually, I passed. Anywhere you go, school is school. If you want to get high grades, you need to study, you need to read, you need to pay attention, and you need to put in effort. You need to work hard and or smart if you want to achieve something. No matter where you go. I think, I wouldn't know. Oh my god, my voice. God, this is gonna be a lot of talking. Topic 3. The social aspect of it all. Hang on, I think I have water in my mouth. Okay. It's not really hard for me to make new friends. Ever since high school, I've always been outgoing and extroverted. Thankfully, that didn't change when I went to college 10,000 miles away from my hometown. While there were some language barriers at first, I eventually started speaking and understanding Bisaya and Tagalog more. I think one of the funniest things is when my classmates really tried their best to speak English to me because they thought I couldn't understand. Like, no, some of them really tried. And like, for their sake, I wanted to pretend that I didn't understand Bisaya or Tagalog just because they put in so much effort in like communicating with me, and I didn't want that effort to go to waste. But I would just tell them that I could understand Bisaya and Tagalog, and we would just laugh about it and like joke about it. And still to this day, I do make some jokes, like I ask them what a certain word means even though I already know what it means, just to see if they're gonna tell me the truth or they're gonna try to clown me. Most of the time they try to clown me. Also, this is kind of weird, but like everyone assumed that my dad was white. They wouldn't ask me directly, but they would be like, so your mom, is she Filipino? And I'd be like, yes, she is. And then they'd go, and your dad, is he? And I already knew what they were going to ask because of stereotypes that I don't think I need to say because they're kind of, I don't like mentioning them. Like, please don't ever mention that stereotype to me. If you know, you know. If you don't know, it's better off that you don't know what I'm talking about. I know that they were trying to imply that stereotype, and I tried not to let it bother me, but no, my dad is not white. My dad is completely, 100%, fully Filipino. Another thing that deals with the social aspect of my experience are the memes within the community. While some memes do transgress boundaries, memes become a language of its own, right? But there are memes that are very specific to a country, and the meme culture in the Philippines is very active. Like, there's a new meme appearing every single second, either on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, mostly Facebook. There's just so much and so many. It was just crazy trying to keep up with it at first and trying to understand them. You know, it's my second year as an international student at ADU, well, online. Yeah, I still don't understand every meme. That's cool. I don't get it, but like, you know what? That's cool. Culture is crazy. I think culture really shines when you see in its most mundane forms, such as memes and even slang. Which leads me into this next point within this point. Growing up in America for 12 years, it's no surprise that I wasn't familiar with the slang or with the terminologies that were being used by people my age. For example, MU. If you're from the Philippines, you probably already know what it means or what it stands for. But if you don't, if you're one of my American friends or if you're not a viewer from the Philippines, MU is basically the talking stage, like getting to know stage. And when I first heard it, of course I didn't know what it was. I've never heard it before in the States. So when I heard it, I asked one of my friends, I'm like, hey, what does MU mean? And literally, they just laughed. Like, okay, cool, thanks. Eventually did figure it out. People did eventually answer to my question. Ooh, also, the curse words. So I live in Davao, right? And I heard this one word being thrown around a lot, and I didn't know what it meant. So I asked my friends, bad choice. They told me that the word meant beautiful, loving, kind, and words with positive connotations to them. But later on, I found out that it was the complete opposite and that the word meant something else. Yeah, the word I kept hearing was yao. That journey of discovery was not fun. I kept getting clowned like every time I asked. Nobody told me what it meant until later on. It was so frustrating. And finally, the last topic. Oh man, that was a lot of talking. Hang on, I need another chug. So, onto the last topic, the mental and emotional aspect of this whole experience. I'm not gonna lie, this whole transition did take a big toll on my well-being. And maybe I sound like a baby or like I'm over dramatic, but I started a new life. It was a blank page. I was at a place where I didn't know anybody. I remember the first couple weeks of school, I felt so lost. Everybody was so much more talented than I am, smarter than me. I just felt like the person who I built up to be in high school was completely gone. Saying it now, saying it out loud, I just realized damn, I had a big case of imposter syndrome. And if you don't know what imposter syndrome is, it's basically like what I just said, feeling as if you didn't belong at a place because everybody else is much more talented or smarter than you. My confidence and self-esteem really did take a big hit. I always had this fear where in high school I was just a big fish in a small pond, and when college came, I would just turn into a small fish in a big pond. Basically, I didn't want to peak in high school. I didn't want it to seem as if I peaked in high school. I wanted college to be better than high school, and my last couple months of high school were really, really good, and so it was gonna take a lot to beat that, and I was just really, really scared. I felt so lost. I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know how to ride a Jeep. I didn't even know how to order food because I was shy at the time. I didn't even know where to buy food. I remember during the first weeks of school, I lost a lot of weight just because I would eat the same things that I had in my dorm already, and I wouldn't get out of my dorm to eat just because I didn't know where to buy food. I didn't know where to go and eat. So here's what my basic meal back when I didn't know anything or when I didn't know where to order things looked like. So my breakfast would be a couple almonds because I bought the family pack when I was first shopping with my mom and brother. Then my lunch would be 3 pieces of takoyaki that I got from school for 25 pesos. And then for dinner, I would have a hard-boiled egg. And this wasn't me trying to diet or anything. I wasn't trying to lose weight. I wasn't trying to watch what I was eating. It was literally just because I didn't know where to eat. I didn't know what to eat, and I was very careful with spending my money at that time because I didn't want to just go broke. Although I did have various difficulties and trials, whether it be from an academic aspect, social, mental, and or emotional, I really did learn a lot about myself, about the world, about everything. Which, by the way, I'll share in a different video soon, so if you want to see that, click subscribe, I grew as a person. I am a completely different person from when I graduated high school and started college to now as a sophomore in college. I think most of us who graduated high school to now have definitely changed a lot. In 2020, during this time, in good ways actually, in a lot of good ways. I think any growth is good growth. Inside. This whole transition has helped me become more emotionally mature, mentally stronger, and overall more responsible, honestly. While there were times where I began to think, what am I doing here? Why didn't I just stay in the States? Do I even like it here? There were also times where I was just really grateful that I moved, where I was so thankful to my old self for choosing to go back to the Philippines because honestly, I really wouldn't trade the experiences I have or have had for anything. And all the experiences I've had in the Philippines are everything that I've gone through there, all the good times, all the bad times, I wouldn't have gotten them if I had just stayed in America. And granted, I do think that I would have had a lot of memorable experience in America as well, but I don't know. There were just times where I really did appreciate the fact that I moved. Honestly, people that I've met in the Philippines, the friends that I've made there, all of my friends from Ateneo, from Samahan, from Bigla Sapat, from AB Communication, Humlet, literally all of my classes, like all the friends, people I met there, like they have made it worth it. I'm just so thankful to have met them, and I'm just so thankful that I decided to take that dive in, just because it's scary to think that like I wouldn't have met all these amazing, unforgettable, impactful people if I hadn't moved. Okay, don't get me wrong, I love all my friends in Texas, I love all my friends in America, y'all are great, love you all to death, but you know, like appreciation to my friends in the Philippines as well, because y'all. And like I said, while there were moments where I questioned why I even moved in the first place, the moments of like appreciation, the moments where I spent time with my friends, where I really felt like I was where I belonged and this is what I meant to do, it outweighed all of that. It outweighed all the doubt. It outweighed all the second guessing. And I think that's all. If you watch the whole thing, wow. Thank you. I guess what I'm trying to say with this very long video is that if you ever want to experience like a major life change, just move to a brand new country and start a completely new life there. Worked for me. If you did make it to this point, like after, I don't even know how many minutes this will be, but like after that many minutes, man, if I could give you an award, I would. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys on that next one. And as always, let's get this bread.